anticipation around the Hawthorns at this early season form. Portsmouth looking to puncture that. Portsmouth get something going with Murphy, who takes on his man and delivers the cross, and it's met by Bishop. Colby Bishop, as simple as you like. It's all going on here. John Mousinho is all smiles as Portsmouth bounced back from a home defeat last week to pick up an important point.
3 games in, it's one of each for Pompey. Now Fratton Park once again plays host to the Blue Army as an undefeated Preston come calling. Only one thing missing from the tick list right now: victory on home soil. Last season's game against the Lily Whites was one for the Pompey history book. Can John Mousinho's men find the winning formula once again? Coming up, Jay Sadler joins us live on the balcony as Pompey Women's new season gets underway. We catch up with Josh Knight as the new defender settles into life on the South Coast. John Mousinho gives us his thoughts ahead of a clash with the Lily Whites. And as the transfer window gets ready to close once again, our panel talk through all the new blues. Plus we'll have your starting 11 and all the latest news and analysis with the help of a special guest pundit ahead of that 3 p.m. British summertime kickoff right here on Pompey Plus.
So hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the final game before the international break kicks in. Alongside me for the duration, Paul Hardiman, and a very warm welcome to our guest pundit for today, somebody you might recognise, Marlon Pack. Good afternoon, guys, how are we?
All good.
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the show and watching the game.
It's good to have you up here. Let's go back to last week firstly, though. You weren't playing, obviously, but you were with the guys at the Hawthorns last week. What was the feeling after the game when that point was secured? Because up here on the balcony watching it on our screen, it almost felt like a win in the end.
Yeah, I think when I was here last week, just before the Norwich game, I think we've spoke about all season, and for us to improve this year, it's obviously picking up points away from home. Naturally, the comparison will be our result there last season and then obviously last week. So I think a really hard fought point. I think in stages we were really good in the game, and I think after we scored the equaliser, I felt like we might have gone on and won the game. But they finished strong. Obviously they've got their finishers in regards to substitutions are really strong at the level. So I think the pleasing thing is we were resolute, we defended our box really well, and it sets us up nicely for this home game today, and hopefully 3 points before the international break.
Yeah, we saw the team really dig in, Paul. It was a really well-earned point in the end, but they had to leave everything out there on the pitch, and it was just a sign of real improvement, and it's good to see that mentality, isn't it, away from home especially.
That word mentality, George, is spot on. I think that last year we were a little bit naive and a little bit in awe maybe of the teams in the Championship coming up from the League One. But this year there's definitely a change in the mentality. Obviously this man sat next to me can help us out a little bit more about that, but you can see it. There's more resolute defending. Players are getting out and blocking crosses. They're doing the winning side. I talked about it last season, the winning side of the game much better, and great result compared to last season at West Brom.
For Colby Bishop, Marlon, it was great to see him get on the score sheet. A great header as well, just what we want to see from him, and really good to see him brush that disappointment off from the missed penalty here against Norwich. Yeah,
well, he continues to do it, doesn't he, time and time again. I don't think anyone writes him off. I think it just typifies him as a character. He's gone through a lot. Of course, listen, after the dressing room against Norwich, he was really down, but he's gone through so much. I mean, I know we don't like mentioning it, but the heart surgery, he's never once milked it as such. He's got on, done his job, and if Murph can keep providing him with those crosses, he's going to score a bagful for us this year. And I think everyone knows now, but he's so pivotal to what we do, out of possession, how he starts the press, how he reigns the pressing sometimes. All right, it's not just about being pressing and being aggressive, because that's naturally what we want to do, but sometimes it's keeping a bit of shape and keeping a bit of structure, especially away from home, and going at the right times, and he's pivotal, and obviously how he brings the team into play.
And Paul, we also saw Regan Poole play extremely well. We gave him man of the match up here on the balcony. Obviously a couple of days before that we brought in a new centre-back through the door in Josh Knight. Obviously that means there's competition for places at the back. Can that sometimes spur a player on and boost them in any way?
Massively. It's almost like a kick up the backside to any player. When someone walks through that change room door, and he's in your position, straight away there's not a horribleness, competitiveness side that comes in, but there is a little bit of an edge to it. You want to prove to him that you're better than him. It happened to me a couple of times. It happened to all players throughout their career. But yeah, it's certainly, and it's not just Regan Paul. It'll be all the centre backs. Shaughnessy and everybody involved in that. Even Marlon, when he played there last season, it'll be a kick up that he knows now that he hopefully doesn't have to play there again.
I was no competition for anyone, so I think they're all right.
We saw you do all right, mate, especially here last year at Preston. You started that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to look at the championship table now and see how things are looking. We do know it's early days at the moment. Marlon, as a player, do you ever look at the table? At what point, if so, do you start to take notice of it?
Being honest and with full clarity, it's only probably bonus related and where we are, and that's dictated to by league position only. No, especially this stage of the season. Of course, I think for momentum, especially going into the international break, I think it'd be a massive 3 points today, and then you look at it and go 4 games in, 7 points. I think that's a good return. But no, not at this stage of the season. Obviously, last season, did we look at it earlier than we would do normally as a player? Yes, but I think at times it can spur you on. It can have a positive effect. So no, nothing really. I think it quickly changes in football, and obviously with the market ending on Monday, then I think that's when you have what we'll have in the building then, and same for all the other teams. That will be our team then up until January, and I think it's only until then you can properly build something and build a team.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the summer signings in just a moment, but Paul, the opposition today, Preston North End. Last season, they survived just by the skin of their teeth, didn't they? Just a point in it in the end. Yeah. So they're going to be looking for something a little bit more stable this time around, aren't they?
They certainly will be. Last season, we'll see the final league standings here, and they just finished above it, didn't they? Look at that 1 point. It went right down to the wire. Thankfully for us watching it ourselves, Portsmouth fans, we were well out of it. But going down to that last game of the season, that's the worst thing that you really want. So I think that Preston did well to, edge out of that. But, they're a different team this season, George. Much more resolute, much more organised, and Heckingbottom's done a decent job in pre-season.
Yeah, plenty to come before kick-off then, and we will dive into the team news shortly. But a quick reminder, if you are watching us on social media, your coverage ends in about 40 minutes' time. So if you want to stick around with us for the afternoon to watch or listen to the game, depending on your location, of course, head over to the Pompey website and pick up a match pass. And like I said, the team news is coming up in the next couple of minutes. But now, let's have a look back at last week's hard-fought draw at the Hawthorns and hear from the magic man, Colby Bishop.
Yeah, as a striker, you want to get off the mark as quick as possible. Obviously, probably should have been off the mark last couple of games, but these things happen. And yeah, I'm happy to get off the mark and hopefully go on a roll now. Murph, obviously, is a delight to play with. Some of the balls he puts in are amazing. The amount of times I've praised him, I can't praise him anymore, seriously. I hope to play with him till the end of my career, because I obviously had a lot of assists off him last year, and hopefully have a lot of assists off him this year. I know what Murph's going to do. He's going to take out his feet and cross it straight away, and with the pace that was on the ball, I just knew I had to get across my man, get a touch on it, and hopefully it was goal bound. It sounds really silly, but I literally said this. I say this to Murph sometimes. His crosses are sometimes too good. Seriously, like the pace he gets on the ball is frightening. And it's something we work on. Obviously, it came off 7 or 8 times. I think he set me up 7 or 8 times last year, and hopefully this year we can get even more.
West Brom do give it away again, and Segacic will bring it down outside the penalty area, and Segacic looks for Bianchini. A chance for Portsmouth! A great save from Josh Griffiths. Bianchini trying to lift it over him. Clearest opening of the game, 0-0.
Yeah, it was a big opening.
Down the right-hand side. Whistles from the Pompey fans suggest there's a problem within the crowd, but play goes on, and the shot comes in and into the net! And West Brom take the lead. An effort from the edge of the penalty area, curled past. Moat for West Brom. Thinking of a shot, does hit it, hits the post. And the rebound not cleared away initially, and then Pompey win it. Shaughnessy coming forward, looking for Murphy down the left-hand side. Pompey coming forward again. Fellows trying to do his defending. This time Murphy gets the better of him, looking for Bishop. It's a brilliant goal! A magnificent header from Colby Bishop. Murphy's cross, Bishop's header. You know the rest. West Brom 1, Portsmouth 1.
It's that early cross, isn't it? It is half a yard, and in terms of where the ball is. He's outside the 18-yard box, right against the left-hand touchline. Great whip cross into that near post area. Bishop's got ahead of Phillips, glanced it on. Keeper's nowhere near it.
Cries of shoot, instead he'll play it in the area. Hegeber, a great chance, and he wants a penalty, and he's not going to get one. And the ball's through to Schmidt, who picks it up and will carry on. West Ham, you can hear the boos. Red card. Brian Mason sent off. Stayed forward, he needs to get a delivery in here. He does with his left foot, it's a decent one, it's headed on and wide of the target from Bishop.
So let's dive into the team news for this afternoon. No changes to Pompey's starting 11, just one change on the bench as Josh Knight moves in. Marlon, is this just a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the boys that are starting deserve to be starting. I think, like I said, the majority of the performance against West Brom was really good. And listen, it's early on in the season. I think it takes time for people to get up to speed. And if you make changes every week, then I think you need a bit of consistency, right? Especially with international break. So it also feeds into the confidence of that group. I think a lot of lads are still probably waiting a little bit to kick start, and hopefully today will be the day where we see some really good individual performances.
And we saw Colby come off towards the end of last week, Paul. They said at the time it was just a knock, he'll be all right, and that looks the case. And that's what we want to see, isn't it? Our number 9 out there.
Yeah, definitely. Marlon's already alluded to it. He's the focal point of the team, isn't he? You know, both out of possession and in possession. And he's such a good character, another leader. We got Marlon sat here next to us, but out on that pitch today, he is the one that they'll all be looking to, and he's pivotal to what we do. Him and Josh Murphy last week combined, and that is a lethal partnership. But when they're both on fire.
How do you rank him as a captain, Marlon? Is he good enough to keep it, or?
And we'll see. Like I said to you earlier, I think the armband's a bit baggy for him at the minute. No, I think it's there's different types of leaders, right? And Colby's vocal, especially in the dressing room, and he's vocal on the pitch. But I think sometimes you also lead in your behaviours and what you do on a day-to-day. He's always in early, he's always doing extras. I go back to the injury, he's always back before, come off at the weekend with a niggle, patched back up, and he's out there. So you can lead in so many different ways, and Colby does it in a variety. And I think sometimes it can lift you as an individual, and it can definitely elevate your performance.
And he scored in both fixtures against Preston last year, obviously the one here at home being the special one. So he enjoys a goal against Preston North End, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I'm sure that will be, when he looks back in his career, that game, even for me at the time, it was a hugely emotional moment. So Preston will always mean something to Colby, and hopefully that's because he keeps scoring against them. And hopefully today's no different.
And we see Zach Swanson winning the battle of the right backs. We seem to have a bit of competition going on there in that area, Paul.
Yeah, and Williams can feel a bit unjust as well. I think that his performances have been decent. I like Williams, but Swanson's equally as good. Different in certain circumstances, especially with the ball and how they want to get forward. But I feel that look, that's the good thing about having a strong squad. That you can take one out and put one in that's equally as good. And both have performed well. So John's there to make the decision. He's felt that Swanson's the man for the day. And it might just be because of the way Preston set up with their 3-5-2. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, Terry Devlin obviously starting on the bench today, but getting a call-up for Northern Ireland in the international break, along with Adrian Segicic for Australia, Hayden Matthews also for the Aussies, and Luke LaRue as well. So 4 players being called up. Have you spoke to them about this? How are they feeling?
Yes, I've spoke to the 2 Aussie lads because I'm sure it's their first international senior appearance or call-up. So very pleased for them. Obviously a lot of travelling involved, but yeah, very pleased for them. I think when you come over to the Championship and come over to England, I think that would be the benefit for them, a bit more in the spotlight. And obviously Luke's been called up to South Africa quite a few times, and Terry has now. So obviously I know Terry a lot more, and I see what he does day in, day out, because he's been at the club now for a little while, and very much deserved. Go back to the right back selection, he's another one that can feel it, and I think it just going on there, it depends on opposition, depends on the requirements of what we need for the game, whether it's going to be a game where, for Zach for example, going to be in possession a little bit more, a little bit inverted against a 5 or a 3 at the back, and then I I think Willow, with his athleticism and very good at 1v1 defending.
And it's good to know we haven't seen a massive amount of Luke LaRue yet, Hayden Matthews this season, other than the Carabao Cup. But it's good to know that they're still getting the recognition from their nations despite not playing here. We've got that kind of calibre of player on the bench now.
Yeah, it really is. And, for any player, to get that accolade of an international call-up is something very, very special to the individual personally. So, all good wishes. Hopefully they travel well, they come back safe, and they're ready to go again when we need them.
Yeah, so looking at the injury news then at the moment, Harvey Blair's still out of a hamstring, expected around October the last time we heard. Marlon Pack's injured for around 6 weeks, is that correct?
Yeah.
And Callum Lang was on screen, he will appear shortly, but opting to have surgery on his hamstring because this is a repeat injury, isn't it? So short term, not great, he's out for longer than expected, but long term, hopefully, we've seen the worst of it now.
Yeah, I think naturally you've got to look at the bigger picture in this case. I think it's been a bit of an issue that's affected Laney over the last couple of injuries. And he's once again, he's massive to what we want to do. He's front-footed, he's aggressive, he makes things happen out of nothing. And I think he started the season really well. Obviously, put out to the right, but I still think he was massively influential, especially at Oxford, and I think he started the game really well against Norwich. So huge miss for us, but I think it's the right thing to do. And because of the duration of the injury, with and without surgery, it seemed like a no-brainer, with a few international breaks in between that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at today's opposition then, the Lily Whites Preston North End, and how they line up today. Paul, I understand you've been doing a bit of digging on today's op.
Yeah, looks like they've made 2 changes. Alfie Devine, the lad who's on loan from Tottenham, drops out, obviously injured. The other lad, Osmanic, is injured, we believe, a rib injury. So they're the 2 goal scorers. The 4 goals they've scored, Osmanic is scored 3 and Alfie Devine scored the other one. So, none of these players have scored yet for Preston North End this season. So, that could be a good sign for Portsmouth.
Yeah, we were talking about Osmajic in the week because obviously sustaining that injury against Wrexham in the Cup. Heckingbottom's been a bit coy about it, saying, I'm not going to tell John Mousinho if he's playing or not. We didn't know if Heckingbottom was just pulling a John Mousinho there and maybe keeping his cards close to his chest, but he's going to be a big miss for them today, isn't he, on that front line?
Yeah, I think he's a player that can do a bit of everything. I think he's been linked with a move elsewhere for a big figure, around 15 million, and he's physical, he can hold the ball up, he can run and behind, and he's looked like a real danger for them. So, yes, that could be a positive for us, but I also think Jebison offers them something different, very athletic, very quick, can run and behind. We faced him last year when he was on loan at Watford. So, him and Smith up top were a bit of a throwback partnership with 2 big men, but one that would like it into feet and flick on, and the other one running in behind.
And we know what a danger Michael Smith can be. I mean, we saw him here at Portsmouth making 34 appearances over a couple of years, and also last season scoring that goal for Sheffield Wednesday. He's one to keep an eye on, isn't he?
Yeah, huge pedigree at this level, played for some really good football clubs, obviously scored that wonder goal last season for Sheffield Wednesday against us. So, like I said, a real handful at this level, and I think, Regan and Connor will have their work cut up today, but I think if we can match them physically and make them work when we've got the ball, then hopefully we'll be up to the task. So
let's talk about the managers then. Preston are the only side we faced twice last season with the same and current manager. It's quite a stat this. Paul Heckingbottom still in charge there. Does this give us any kind of advantage when we sort of know how he sets up a team and how he likes to play?
Yeah, I mean, look at that graphic there. John Mousinho, 2 years, 218 days. Paul Heckingbottom, just 1 year and 6 days. Just goes to show how the turnaround in managers happens so very quickly. Although you've got Robbins, Neil, Rowett, and Eustace, Sheehan have all have managed in the Championship with other clubs. So it's an interesting graphic that. But looking at Heckingbottom, he's had clubs at Barnsley, Leeds, Hibs and Sheffield United. Did well at Sheffield United. That's where he's got his main accolade there. Usually likes to play 3 at the back, 5 in midfield, 2 up front, as Marlon's just alluded to with the 2 big men up there today. The one thing that he says is about the type of player that he signs. He likes to sign good characters.
Yeah, so a team full of characters, that's what we're dealing with this afternoon. Get your thoughts in, Pompey fans. Let us know what you think of the lineups, anything Pompey related for that matter. We can't take your calls, but send us any pictures, messages, videos and voice notes. 07457 413 694 on the WhatsApp. That QR code, if you scan that, that will take you through as well, and is at Pompey on X. So the transfer window once again closes on Monday evening, and so far we've seen 7 signings in through the door for Pompey. Let's have a look through some of those now. Marlon, a real variety of signings there in terms of position and style, but Adrian Segacic has hit the ground running, isn't he? Perhaps one of the standouts so far, but the others that have made appearances here and there have shown real signs of promise too.
Yes, I mean, Segac has come in and he's a breath of fresh air. He's I think someone alluded to him as a Duracell bunny the other day. He's tenacious. He wins duels. I think I knew the signs were good straight away in training because he was physical. For someone so slight, obviously he's probably had to battle that throughout the years. And then also, which we've all seen, is his ability, the way he can shift it onto that left foot. He can shoot from distance. He offers us something a little bit different. And his profiling, I think, has been massive to this team. So he's had a really good start. Hopefully that continues today. And then the other lads, obviously they've come at different stages. I think you can see that Segas has come in pre-season. He's had that. Luke, I thought, had a good impact coming on as a substitute the other day. We haven't seen much as Mark. Obviously, I've been injured as well. And Josh, I played against him at Peterborough, had a good move to Germany, and I feel like he seems like a really good addition to the group. And as Paul said earlier, adds competition for places, and that's what we want. That's what I want. It's only gonna make the squad better. It's only gonna make the team better. And I think if we're all aligned in that competition for places, training being competitive, then I think it puts Portsmouth Football Club in a better position.
Yeah, and John Mousinho said he is expecting some more business to be done before Monday. But who out of the new recruits have you been keeping an eye on, Paul, so far?
Yeah, look, Segacic is probably the pick of the bunch. One that we haven't talked about there is Swifty. I've got to give Swifty a big pat on the back, really. People might be a little bit critical of his performances, but I look at it and say that he's playing in a position that isn't his favourite. He's more of an attacking midfielder, one that likes to play in behind the front man, or even more in that 8 role where you're getting into those inside channels and picking the ball up. But what he's done, at Oxford, I highlighted him and Dazal, because of their tenaciousness in midfield, where they were winning tackles and then playing balls simple. I alluded to in that game about where it might suit Marlon, where the 2 centre-backs split and the 2 centre midfielders were dropping, one of them was dropping in between and getting it, and then laying those long diagonal passes, which obviously, look, that's straight down his street. So, Josh Murphy will definitely benefit for things like that. So, Swift for me is doing okay, although I still feel that his better position is slightly forward. Yang's another one that we saw a brief glimpse coming on as a sub and doing well, but it still needs a little bit more confidence and a little bit more time. The other lads have done okay. Biachini, I feel for him, because the chance that he had at Oxford, where he didn't quite take it, if that goes in, he might be the same as Segacic.
You just feel he needs that goal, don't you? And then he'll be off and running.
Yeah, I do. I feel the same.
Can I just add on Swifty, for example, obviously we're a front-foot team, we're aggressive, but he adds some composure to the team, and it sometimes can look a little bit of a different pace, but he adds calmness, he adds composure, especially when games are erratic, especially away from home at West Brom, where all of a sudden we need to settle the game down, and it's those little 5-yard passes where we secure the first pass after the lad's been sprinting and pressing. So I think he's added a calmness to the group with championship experience, and he's gonna be a great signing for us, I'm sure.
He's going to get better and better as the season goes, I'm sure.
Yeah, and a quick mention to one of the confirmed departures from this week. Then Matt Ritchie has left Pompey to join Reading just after a season here. Matt saying on his departure, the honour of playing for Portsmouth Football Club is a privilege I will always treasure and be forever grateful for. To the fans, you are the heartbeat of this club and the reason Fratton Park is so special. Your unwavering support means everything. And Marlon, a huge influence last season, and someone that the fans are going to remember very fondly.
Yeah, obviously it's I think it's a real shame for, I'm speaking on a personal level here, me and Matty obviously come through the youth system at Portsmouth, played in the academy together, and you know, on a personal level, obviously I've spoke to him throughout the whole summer, and I've actually spoke to him this week. It'd have been good to kind of see it out with him a little bit, so to speak. But listen, things happen in football. He wants to go and play football, and hopefully he goes and does that at Reading. But I think his achievement here last year, what he attributed to the group and contributed was phenomenal. Set the press up, great leader, drove us to the other level, and I like to think I've done that a bit to a certain degree when I'm coming back at the club. But obviously Matty, with his Premier League experience, I'm open to admit that he's a different level to me. He's seen bigger and better environments. He knows what a high performance training ground environment looks like. So it'll be a big miss, and it's down to the other lads now to step up in his absence.
Yeah, now let's hear them from one of our latest arrivals. We caught up in the week with centre-back Josh Knight.
It's a new chapter for me and my family, and can't wait to get going. I mean, it's a big club. If you don't want to play for this club and the ambition, the direction it's going, then it'd be stupid not to do what I can to be here, you know. So the gaffer showed me how I'd fit in the plans, and the way he plays suits me. So I think that's one reason, and another reason, I think the fan base. It's a big club, and playing at Fratton Park, I know how difficult it can be coming here, and excited to play in front of them fans, you know. I want to be at a club which the ambition is to go to the Premier League, you know, and I feel like what we have here and how I've heard the facilities and everything's changed, that really excited me. It's a good project, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I was at Leicester from 8 to 21 or 22. Had few loans, gained experience, Peterborough, Wickham, then I went to Peterborough again, and then I recently have been over in Germany. The fans out there are mental. Like, I love playing in front of good fans, you know, and that really excited me going there. It was different, obviously language and stuff, but I thought if there's no better time to do it. I'm at a good age, and I thought let's just do it. I have nothing but good things to say about that club, you know. They gave me the opportunity to play abroad, and a lot of players don't get to do it, and yeah, I'm happy with how it ended, but I'm even more excited to be here, you know. I want to make sure my family's happy, you know, and that's the main thing, and then if they're happy, I can be happy on the pitch, you know. And I know how tough the league is. Played against really good players in my time when I played in the Champ, difficult players, but I really think it's a level that I can play at. So yeah, I'm excited to get going at the weekend. I'll bring leadership on the pitch for sure, and I love to defend, you know. I'm a defender that will put my body on the line, whatever, you know. So yeah, hopefully I can excite the fans. I want to play as many games as I can, help the team and help the club as much as I can, and yeah, we'll see where that takes us, but I know the ambitions are good here, and I want to be a part of this club and the way it's going, and hopefully it's nothing but positives when I look back on my career and my time here. Yeah.
So Josh Knight starting on the bench today, but after a truly great escape last season, Pompey Women find themselves back in action in just over a week's time in the WSL2, and we are delighted to be welcomed and joined by, on the balcony now, head coach Jay Sadler. Good afternoon, Jay, thanks for coming up.
Good afternoon.
How you doing, you all good?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Nice one. So we'll obviously preview the season in just a moment, but going back to last season, we know how big a jump that was, but was it how you anticipated it to be?
Yeah, no, I think it was probably a bigger jump than we anticipated. I think the demands of the league in terms of physicality and the mentality, and obviously we were coming up and we were professionalising, going from part-time to full-time, and also just the levels are so different from tier 3 to tier 2. So yeah, it took us a while to adjust to the demands, and then that last 6 games, credit to the players and the staff for obviously getting the points to stay in the league.
And what do you think you learnt there, not just yourself but the team as well, everybody at the club going into this new season?
Yeah, and I think the cliche really was when you make a mistake, you got punished at that level. Quality players, you give them an inch, they take it. And I think, whereas at Tier 3, you probably got away with certain mistakes, and we could probably keep the ball for longer, and we had to completely adapt our style, go against the ball, be more of an aggressive side, and then physically the adaptations had to take time to occur. A lot of the players at Tier 3 had jobs alongside. Tier 2, they're full-time, but it wasn't gonna happen overnight in terms of sprint speed and endurance. All had to improve over a short period. So yeah, there's lots of learnings that we took from it, but obviously the adaptability of the group showed.
Yeah, so going into this new season then, what are your aims and ambitions, not just again for yourself, but the whole team as well? What are you looking to build on?
I think the biggest thing for us is to ensure we're competing in every single game, whether it's Newcastle away from home or it's a midweek game. I think last season there were some games where we'd capitulate after 1 or 2, and I think that shows kind of the lack of resilience maybe towards the start of the season. And something that the group's been working hard on is to ensure that we are competing and we find ways to compete. We're going to have to be adaptable, we're going to have to find ways to slow the game down, quicken the game up, different ways if other teams with the quality that's been added to the Super League 2 this year. So we're going to have to find different ways to compete and hopefully pick up more points towards the start of the season, which we didn't do last year, so it's not as a nervy ending as it was last year.
Yeah, but I mean the team really did the job in that second half of the season, didn't they, in turning that around, because at one point it didn't look for positive reading, that league table, but come the end of it you were absolutely flying results wise.
Yeah, no, and you hear a lot about people saying how we were dead and buried, probably at Christmas, 2 points, 4 points off drift, and where we were going to get our points from. But to be fair, the group stuck together, and they show real traits of what a Pompey team's all about. Competed, we kind of changed our style, worked on first balls, second balls, transitions, set plays, kind of went a bit back old school in a way, and we're able to then obviously get the points to stay in the league, which was so important.
Yeah, and it's not long now until that first game. How's pre-season looked for you and the squad? What have you been up to?
Yeah, no, pre-season's gone well, to be fair. We had 14 weeks off, so we had to have a longer pre-season. It was a 9-week block with a taper in between, and we're going into a 5th and final friendly match tomorrow, so competed with some good teams, play Brighton, Crystal Palace, Charlton, got Swansea tomorrow, so some good teams that are going to pose different challenges to us. A lot of physical tests, the one especially against Brighton, with the calibre of play you're coming up against, you kind of know the levels, and we feel now we're ready to go in and compete in that first game against Durham next week.
Yeah, and we know you've been quite busy in the transfer window, a lot of fresh faces coming in. Can you talk us through some of the new signings?
Yeah, and it's always difficult when you have to say goodbye to players that have been at the club for a number of years, but you see on the screen we've kind of made 10 additions and hopefully got a couple more coming in before our window closes on Thursday. Brought in quite a few players, although younger age, have got experience of playing, whether in the Super League or Super League 2. Tia Primer, Greta Humphreys offers us that. Jess Gray, big 6-foot goalkeeper, so we've been able to bring in the profile we wanted, left-footed, left-back, to offer balance at the back line, similar to what Marlon was saying about Swifty in terms of having players who can get on the ball and slow it down at the right times, and Jemima offers us that, being schooled at City. So yeah, we've added some real good players, but more importantly some fantastic characters to the group that know what this league's about, so we can kickstart it straight from game one.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, Jay, I've got a quick question for you. I'm massively into youth development, as Marlon will tell you, but you know, looking at it, the club have just started this professional game academy. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how players can maybe get involved in it?
Yeah, so part of the compliance now is to have a professional game academy. Some clubs will have like a full squad of 20 with fixtures, etc. We've gone down a bespoke package, with it being kind of the early stages. So we're hoping to add 3 players that will be in education, but we'll be training with the first team in the gym, analysis, pitch. Luckily 2 of the 3 are local girls that know what it means and have been with our under 23s, and we've added another player to it as well. So hopefully now we can start to bridge that gap between the pathway. Something we haven't had in my 9 years here is a real link between the pathway, and we're going to start to build that with Pompey in the community, and working closely with Claire down there, and obviously the links with the John Jenkins Stadium helps too.
Jay, I just wanted to pick your brain on something. You've just appointed Jazz Ball as club captain. I suppose with me being captain as well, what attributes are you looking for when you're making that decision?
Yeah, I think first and foremost it'd be nice to have someone who knows what it means to represent Pompey, and obviously you do. Jazz has only been in since Christmas, but I think as soon as she come in, she submersed herself with the city, lives it, moved here straight away, gets someone that understands what it means from a community point of view, someone who can kind of showcase themselves off a pitch, but when they're on a pitch, can you see what it means to wear the shirt in terms of first duels, second duels, the grit, the determination, but someone who can kind of offer that bridge between the staff and the playing group, someone who can come and challenge us in the right moments, and someone that has the respect of the dressing room like obviously yourself does, and Jazz has built that over the last 6 months.
Excellent. So let's have a look at the fixtures then for yourselves in the WSL2 this season. Talk us through these, any in particular that you and the team have your eye on?
The first one that stands out is Southampton at Fratton Park. Of course it will. When we played them here last year, it was a dark day, a heavy loss, a poor performance, a lot of emotion going into the game, so obviously that's one that stands out. As same with the men, when you look at it, the first game you're going to pick out, but for us the one that stands out the most for me is Durham. First game of the season, we've had a big pre-season, everything, it feels kind of like that cup mentality of everything you've been going on for that first game, so we try to stay clear of that, but for us it's really important to get points on the board. Got a home game at Wesley Park, and then obviously the 2 Fratton Park games, and we performed well when we played here last season with 2 wins after that Southampton game, and obviously the more games we have here, we feel at home, nice grass pitch, big pitch, and we feel we can get the best out of the group. But first one, looking forward to that Durham game to get the season kicked off.
Yeah, and on that Durham game, they finished in the top 4 last season. It's a real tough way, isn't it, to start the new campaign?
Yeah, they're a good team. I know they're not affiliated to a men's club, so in terms of how they do things, got to have a lot of respect for them, but they're kind of a throwback team to the 90s in terms of really physical, managed the game well. Remember when we played them at Wesley last time, the dark arts of football, they know how to manage games, and we've got to obviously manage our frustrations, which we didn't do last year, but hopefully this year we've been able to watch a lot of them throughout pre-season, so we kind of know what they're about, and I think that's the biggest thing for us. We kind of know what teams are gonna throw at us this year. There's a lot of kind of consistency with, unlike the men's, in terms of managerial changes. There's only been 2 or 3, so a lot of the teams you know what to expect, so yeah, we're all ready for them in just over a week's time.
And tickets are still available for that season opener next Sunday. Just head to the Pompey website for more information. And Jay, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Enjoy the game as well.
Yeah, you too, pleasure.
Thank you. Right, so let's hear from the Pompey men's head coach now. Let's hear from John Mousinho. We spoke to him earlier on this week and started off by asking about the mood in the camp following that draw at West Brom last week.
Yeah, really positive after the result and the performance in large parts, and that's a good building block for us to have that sort of positivity away from home. We didn't necessarily have that at large parts last season, and it's been a very good training week. So good training week for us, good build up. We've not had the game because of the lack of the League Cup, so I suppose a bit of silver lining there in terms of being knocked out in the first round. And yeah, it's been a really good week. We had the recovery day on Monday, and then we've put a couple of really good training days into the boys, so plenty of work in terms of what we're going to do against Preston, and plenty of physical work as well, and I think it sets us up nicely to have that free week going into the game. Yeah, we need to improve, I think, upon what we did last time at home, which was a good end to the game, but we didn't start quite quick enough, so I think it's a really good opportunity for us to get back home and actually kick that home form into gear. It's been okay away from home at the moment, but we've played 2 at home and we've lost both of them, so a really good opportunity for us to make sure we win the game. We're pretty calm and patient about where we are at the moment. We're pleased with the business that we've done so far, so we're in no panic to desperately add, but we think there's still a bit of room for a couple more maybe. So there's plenty of work that's going on. Nothing that will be in before the weekend, but we're pretty sure that we're going to have a couple of deals done by the deadline day.
So just over 5 minutes then until kick-off here at Fratton Park. Marlon, talk us through what the players are going through now, those emotions, as you start to hear Fratton Park just get that little bit louder.
Well, you can hear it now in the background, I'm sure. No, I think all the work's done now. All the work's done. For me, on a personal level, I'm making sure I'm prepared. I'll kiss my shin pads because it has my children on it. I'll make sure I'm looking at the set pieces and knowing my roles, knowing the roles of the other lads as well, even though we've watched plenty of video in the week. And obviously the gaffer will have his last rallying call. So it's all now. It's all fired up. We're all shouting. We're all gearing each other up, making sure we're ready to start the game really well.
I was going to ask about any superstitions or anything like that. Are there any else you can share with us what the other guys are doing round about now?
Do you know what? No, I'm so fixated on what I'm doing now as an individual. You have a little bit of tunnel vision, don't you, as a player? So no, I'm pretty sure the lads do have a few. Definitely, I've gone for a stage of down there. You know, if we've won one week and I've only used that cubicle, I'll make sure the week after I use that cubicle. So I know the gaffer has a few, but other than that, no. Apart from kissing the shin pads, that's all I've had.
And Paul, Preston North End, it's not going to be an easy one today. They're one of only 6 undefeated sides so far in the Championship, a few games in. They're going to want to keep that run going for as long as possible. But Pompey, they want that first 3 points here at Fratton, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I don't really want to read this stat out, but Preston haven't won in their last 8 games away, so I think it's something like 5 losses and 3 draws. So, we're hopefully that we can keep that going. And I just feel, like I always say, George, like it's about what we do. It's about how we start this game. If we get the intensity and we get the aggression in that front line pressing, and we get that, a few crosses in early, who knows, we could be 3-1 winners again this season. And
with the international break on the horizon, this is the last game before it. How important is it to kind of go into that break on a high?
Yeah, of course. I think, last season our home form was pivotal in achieving what we did, and I think as Paul said, right, we need to be. It's all about us and what we want to do, and it's always been that. The gaffer's great at that. Obviously, in the Championship now, with the quality that you have, you've got to look at the opposition, but we're at our best when we play to how we want to play. If we can come out the blocks, be aggressive, I think. I look at Newcastle against Liverpool in the week, and I go, wow, if we can do that at Fratton Park, feed into the crowd, feed into the energy, and then make sure we go and replicate it on the pitch.
Absolutely. I'll come to you for a prediction in just a moment on today. Lee's been in touch on the socials saying let's get 3 points before the international break and before we play that little team down the road and smash them as well. Bishop hat-trick. Hi to Marlon. Matt said a casual hat-trick from Segacic to warm us up for the Socceroos will do nicely. And Tony says, great to see you, Marlon. We're being left out here, Paul. Hopefully we'll see you back out on the field too. And Marlon, can I get a quick score prediction from you, if you can hear me, that is?
Yeah, I really fancy us today. I mean, I've been around the group all week. I like where we're at. With the international break coming up, and I felt the energy in training. I think we'll win 2-0 today. I think a good clean sheet and a couple of goals.
2-0, that sounds nice. Where are those goals coming from?
We'll go Colby, and I like to see Murph open his account today. I think he's the provider, but he's good for a goal outside the box. So we'll go for a Colby goal and a Murph outside the box.
We'll settle with that. And Hards, what are you saying?
I'm going to go with, listening to Marlon there, I'm confident as well, so I'm going to go 2-1.
2-1. Similar place for the goals as well?
Yeah, Murphy for me, he's due a goal, and I'm going with a little second change again.
That'll be nice to see at Fratton Park. Well, that is pretty much it from us then. It's starting to get quite loud here inside Fratton Park. So we'll return at half-time, myself, Marlon and Paul. If you're watching on social media, your coverage ends here though. So stick with us, get over to Pompey Plus and get yourself a match pass. You can watch or listen with us this afternoon, depending on your region, as John Mousinho's men look to declare victory at Fortress Fratton this afternoon, as Pompey take on the Lily Whites here at Fratton Park, coming next.